Justin Loup from the Glass for Europe. Justin works as a technical policy and with the technical policies for building an automotive glass for Glass for Europe that is presenting all of the major companies in glass in Europe. And you will be talking about new EU construction product regulation, giving us an update
Indeed.
what's happening in that field.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to see that so many people are motivated to hear about the CPR at 9 in the morning. So I'll try to be as simple as possible, although it's not so much of a simple piece of legislation. But yeah, we'll go through it together and then I have to take questions. So, first, Glass for Europe, if you don't know about it. So we are the trade association for the flat glass sector, representing 5 members companies, so 5 out of the 6 producers of flat glass in Europe. And then we work with the processors, we work with the national associations, so GGF, for instance, and others that are also around here this week. And without further ado, I will directly dig into the content of today, which is the construction products regulation. But first, I just wanted to start with a little story. You might have tried to bake in a foreign country one day, maybe not in a foreign next to yours, but let's say if you are continental Europe, you went to the UK or the US or the other way around. Then you encounter some kind of weird measurement units that you're not used to work with. You know they exist, but okay. And then they might refer to products in a way you're not sure about it, or to brands that you don't know. Then you try to cook, and that's the result, maybe, except if you are really good at baking. And then when it happens to me, I'm angry and I throw the cookbooks in the bin and the cake in the bin, and everybody is unhappy. The people that had to eat the cake, the people that made the cookbook, because I threw their book in the bin, and myself, because I failed. And, well, maybe it's a bit of an engineering mindset, but I would imagine that the ideal for this not to happen would be to have kind of a system where we all talk the same language in terms when it's about baking, and we have standards for flours and for chocolate and for milk, and the people that write the book, they also use the same terminology, and then wherever I go, I can make cookies and it works. Well, this is to some extent what the EU wants to do with the construction product sector. So the idea is to have a system that fairly resembles what I just said, and to have standards per products which define products in a similar way, and then national building codes which are made by the member state authorities refers to this same terminology, and then builders, wherever they are, they can respect their engagement using the products that are, let's say, regulated through the CPR and CE marked according to the CPR. So this is, let's say, the ideal objective, and it's why the regulation is made and updated so as to strive to reach that objective. So that's a bit of a long slide, but maybe you can read it one day. But what happened is that you have some European authorities, which I will not, it's not that complicated to understand. It's much less complicated than people say it, but I will not go into that now. But they came up with a text, which is the Construction Products Regulation of 2024. And this is just a text that explains you the system. So they will, their plan, and it's not so different from what we used to do, but up until now, if you are used to work in construction products world, is to have lists of standards for all possible construction products that can be put on the market in the EU, so all types of glass, if we think about glass, or most of the types of glass. And once this list is made, so that's made by the authorities, they would send this list, so it's almost only a list with what should be in. They send it to the experts, which are in the CEN, which is the European Standardisation Organization, which some of you may be participating in, and they will write the thing. So they will look at the principles of the CPR, I don't know, fire safety, structural safety, different elements that they need to cover. They look at that, they write the standards, and they say, that's it. we send it to the Commission, the European Commission, and they approve it or not. So they say, okay, we like it or we don't. And if you don't, you need to do it again or to revise it. And if they like it, then people that follow the standards are compliant with the rules. So the CPR is just the master text, and then you have a whole set of implementation for you to be able to sell product on the market. And then member states needs to follow what's in the standards. They need to follow the rules for the validation of performance that are set at EU level, so it's going to be different from one country to another. And then construction product manufacturer need to assess and declare the performance according to what's written in the standards. And construction company ideally can buy CE marked products and respect their obligation, which are in the building code, to make buildings or renovate buildings or other construction works. And importantly, as long as you don't have a standards, you don't follow that. You follow what was done up until today with the CPR 2011, which is not so far from that, but it's not exactly that. So as long as it will take time. It's not from now on you need to comply, but from the moment you have standards that are made and cited by the Commission, then you need to comply. So that's basically what will happen for glass. We will have these standardization requests, which are the lists. They are sent to the SEN does the work, and then they present this work to the Commission, and hopefully the Commission say, yes, we approve these standards, it's cited, and it becomes the way to declare performance of annealed glass, laminated glass, and many others. Same for windows, same for curtain walling. They will all have their list. That's a bit the implementation timeline. So right now we are around here. So there is consultation made to make these lists and to be sure that everything is in it. Then around 2026, we should have the list, the standardization request, and then the standardization work will start. And this is an important one. So again, as long as you don't have a new standards, you follow the old one. And then ideally, in 2040, we have all the standards for all the construction products possible, and everything works wonderfully. We'll see if it happens, but that's what everybody would aim at, including at EU level and within the authorities. So what else is there to say about the CVR? That's for the main single market concept, but I think it's the main thing to understand about the rules. Well, the new elements are about sustainability, and there's, let's say, a fair lot of it in it. So declaring your environmental performance, for instance, I will talk about it just after that. And another additional element is digitalisation. So those two things which were made, let's say, voluntarily up until today, will be mandatory under the CPR 2024, at least some rules linked to these two big topics. So in terms of sustainability, there's many rules, but I think the main ones, which are quite universal, is that it will be mandatory to declare the environmental performance of products. So there is a list of quite a lot of indicators to give. Many of them that are the one you will find in EPDs today, but EPDs are voluntary. This will become mandatory, and this will need to appear in your product declaration. Again, as long as you don't have the new standards, you continue with EPDs, but when you have the new one, you need to do that. And just so you know, now all these rules are sort of put into place. We have the text, but it needs to concretely take place. And there are quite some discussions on that. So again, if you hear about issues linked to the CPR and sustainability, and you have questions, please do not hesitate to let us know, and to let know your authorities, which are right now working on that. So they will, hopefully, take into account what's the needs of the industry. So that's the timeline for sustainability. In fact, you don't need to declare all indicators in one go. So first, from January 2026, you have some indicators if you have the standards. Then LCA core indicators, a bit more indicators in 2030, and a bit more in 2032. Why is it like that? Mostly because politicians discussed and they wanted to have, let's say, a gradual implementation, and not that suddenly from one day to another you have the standards and you have to give 30 different indicators. And as long as you are under CPR 2011, you do as you do today, but then you need to move to the new system once the standards are ready. And let's say for glass, it will be ready quite soon. It will be one of the first products, I mean, quite soon, still 2028, 2032, but you will be closer from today than for 2040, which is the deadline for the latest products. And then the digitalization aspect, basically the main element again is this digital product passport, which you may have heard about. And the idea is to have, let's say, not all, but many of the information about your products which can be accessible through a data carrier. We don't exactly know what will it be. And this should be the relevant information should be beam compatible, etc. The idea is to have a better fluidification of transfer of data, also for market surveillance, and it's not a secret, so that market surveillance can also check better what's going on with some products. And I think the most important point to remember for this specific aspect is that for now we have a piece of legislation that says that this will need to take place, but that's it. So you are already, I mean, everybody is compliant with DPP rules. If someone tries to sell you something saying you will be DPP compliant, you don't need to buy it because you are already compliant. And we know that some people already try to do that. Don't do it and don't buy it because so far we don't know exactly what the DPP is actually. And we will know it in around 2026 because basically what happened is that we have the theory and now they are writing, let's say, practically what will it be. They are creating the system to upload these different data carriers or to at least explain what needs to be done. So it is something to follow, but it is not something to that you need to comply with it right now. So after the delegated act, which is a piece of secondary legislation, there will be a system. When it's functional, you still have 18 months to comply. A bit of time, but still good to keep in mind, importantly, because they are making it again right now. So again, if you have feedback, if you are worried about the burdens that this could create, or if you see opportunities in such a system, that's the right moment to set feedback either directly to your national authorities or to the EU or to us, and then we do the transfer. So what should we do? Because as you might have heard, I said a lot of time, you don't need to do it yet, but get ready in 1 month, in 2 months, 6 months, a year, it will come. Well, I think one of the main points to do right now is that since they are sort of making this CPR text real, there is a lot of leeway to influence what's going on. So I think it's really important to inform policymakers when they make consultation or when you receive questions about what's your need and what's your limits and what you want as a producer, for instance, but also as other stakeholders. Every stakeholder is they can give feedback. So that's good to keep that in mind. Is that even if the rules are not there, the rules are kind of written now as well. So it's the right moment to try to influence them. And this is the same for the standards. In fact, anybody who knows about glass and who is an expert in a certain product or in a large panel of products can participate in writing your own rules. In fact, you need to obey the CPR, but the CPR put principles into place, and you will receive demands from the Commission, etc. But then the very specific way to do it, this is done by experts. So that's the right moment to engage as well in the SEN to basically have a say on the rules that will then apply to the whole sector. And yeah, finally, please stay connected with us. So do not hesitate to get in touch and to ask questions or to send feedback. And I cannot stress that enough, but also with your national associations. The member states will have a big influence on how things are put into place. In fact, more than the industry probably. So that's good to also keep in touch with them and discuss with them to show your local needs typically, and then they will transfer that to the Commission. That's it. If you want a guide which explains the CPR without needing to read the whole text, there is a very good one made by Construction Products Europe, and you can download it here. And there is even translation going on, so you might even find it in your own language at some point. Thank you.